I mean, this was their third game, and uh, they maybe had a chance to get some of the kinks out that you would normally get. Um, and I went into the game thinking we could score, and I went in thinking that it was going to be really hard to keep them from scoring. So I think whatever I was thinking, it came true. I know we could score, and I know we're not great at keeping other people from scoring, as you could see. And especially a team like that where, they're pretty good. Their perimeter players are pretty good. Their style of play is really hard to play against. And but for the first game out, I thought more good things than not. But the bad things were really bad. Let's put it that way.
Geno, Paige in the first quarter, scoreless, only took one shot, and then was like guns blazing after that. You've talked before about how she shouldn't wait for the game to come to her. It seemed like she kind of did that today. Was that kind of what you saw, and did you have to say anything to get her to be more aggressive from that point on, or did she kind of have the maturity to know she had to step up?
I think the first quarter may have been more a function of how E and Kristen got started, and getting out in transition a couple times, and E knocking down a couple threes. So it really didn't bother me that much that first quarter, but then the second quarter we made a concerted effort to get her more involved, and then the more she got involved, the more we kept looking for her. So it just kind of snowballed from there, and she's pretty good, right? So we just don't want to forget that she's pretty good, and we should try to get her involved more often.
Coach, we talked about Paige being pretty good on offense, as you just explained, but we've also talked about the minutes. She played 40 tonight. You've told me that's less than ideal. How do you address that moving forward?
Maybe I won't address it. Maybe she'll play 40 every game, or at least play until I think the game's in hand. But ideally, no, you don't want that. You don't want to have to. But when you're playing a team that has so many ways to score, you just have to keep your best scorers on the floor as long as possible. So that's why probably Paige, E, and Kristen were out there so much. I don't know that every game will be like that, but today that's just the way it played out.
Aaliyah's stat line doesn't really. Am I good? Aaliyah's stat line doesn't really jump out at the page, but it seemed like she was really impactful today when she was on the court. What did you see from her?
The same thing with all of our post players. They just commit dumb fouls, and they put themselves on the bench. It's like, I want to play. I want to play them. I want to give them opportunities to play, but they got to help themselves too. They got to make sure that they stay in the game. Some of them were just silly, because you said it best. When Aaliyah is in the game, she impacts the game, and then it disrupts the flow for her when you got to come to the bench because you're in foul trouble. So you're kind of always stopping and starting. You don't get a chance to really extend it. So I'll tell you what, the best play of the night was that she made a three. And that's something that we were dying for post players to be able to do, you know? And it wasn't an easy day for the post players because there wasn't anybody for them to guard. So if there was two of them in the game, one of them was always caught guarding a guard. So it was really difficult, you know? But I thought Aaliyah had a huge impact on the game, no question.
Geno, you circling back to Paige a little bit, could you just talk about where you can put her anywhere on the floor? She had a little back to the basket, down in the low block late in the game. And also her body control. No matter where she is, even in the air, she seems to be in perfect control all the time till the last second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, when you go 15 for 19, that's a pretty good night, you know. There isn't any place on the floor that she can't play. There isn't any place on the floor that she's not comfortable. And there isn't any situation that she finds herself in that she doesn't know what to do next. And we were going to, after we got that bucket on the post up, we were going to run it again. But it was after a dead ball, and Arkansas changed the matchups. So as the referee's waiting to hand the ball, she comes over to me and she said, "We need to run it for Kristen," because the kid that was guarding Paige switched on to Kristen. So we did, and Kristen got a 3-point play, or maybe a 2-point play, and missed a free throw. We do that. We turn 3-point plays into 2-point plays.
Geno,
We did it good. We're good at it.
how much does her efficiency when she's shooting like that just make the defense have to be mindful of so many things? It seems like she would make 2 or 3 floaters in a row, and that's exactly when next she'd be able to kick it to AZ to the left. Someone's wide open for a shot somewhere.
Yeah, and I think if once our team, you know, realizes that the more they get Paige open, and the more opportunities that we give her to score, the more opportunities everybody else is going to get to score. The best way for us to get everybody on the team open is make sure that they have to double team, in some cases triple team Paige. And you know, that's why we had the ball in her hands so much, you know, the last 3 quarters. I mean, those 34 points came in 3 quarters, right? She didn't score the first quarter. So, yeah, I don't know that she would have done that last year. I think she would have been a little more passive or pass happy. But I think this is, you know, this is more like who I want her to be, you know, what she have. You know, everybody thinks she's going to average 10 assists a game. I don't think so. She might still get 6. But I want her to have more opportunities to score, for sure.
Gina, speaking of growth, Olivia looked like she was just kind of battling a little bit more than she might have done in past game situations, despite the foul trouble. Is that something you saw? She was just a little more, resilient tonight?
Yeah. It's a weird dynamic because, one, we want our guards to have a lot of opportunities because they're good shooters, and at the same time, we thought we had a really huge advantage in the lane. And when those guys started getting in foul trouble, we kind of lost that. But no, Liv's been different in practice. You know, she's been much more aggressive, much more active. We just get her to the same thing with her and Aaliyah, just stay out of foul trouble. You know, that was an issue last year. And, you know, we got to coach her better, I guess. And to me, that's fundamental in basketball. You can't foul. Like for 100 years, we fouled less than any other team in the country. Now, because we could score so easily, we just foul more. I don't get it. I just don't think good players foul people. They just don't. That's what makes them good players.
Geno, they had pretty good size as well. But would you like to see a better job on the boards? It sounded like you were.
Yeah, the first half, we gave up 13 offensive rebounds. And I think in the second half, we gave up 2. So we're slow learners. Took us a while to figure that out. And sometimes, you know, that's a function of coaching, probably, function of, you know, we can score easy, so we don't have to get down and dirty, you know, like you're supposed to when you play this game. It'll get better. Our rebounding doesn't get better. It wasn't good today. And it's hard to rebound when guys are firing up threes because they're all long rebounds. So it then becomes a matter of quickness. Who can get to the ball quicker? And they were quicker than us a bunch in the first half, but not in the second half. But then there weren't a whole lot of offensive rebounds for them to get. Not when you shoot that many layups.
Geno, I know I ask you this question every time following the game after a loss, but again, 1,024 games without back-to-back losses, whatever, 60-something now after a loss the last 28 years. It's a matter of scheduling, you know, just if it was easy, everyone would do it, right?
That's what I always say. If it was easy, everybody else would do it. But when we do it, everybody says it's easy. So I just stopped even trying to explain it, you know. You look at who some of the people we've opened with are over the years, they haven't all been necessarily cupcakes, you know. And that's coming on the heels of 10 years losing in the Final Four, right? 11 and 10, right?
The last time you lost the Oakland was coming off national.
Yeah, well, shouldn't win it then. I knew there was a reason why we kept losing. Everybody all right. UConn hasn't won a national championship since 2016. This is my first bottle of Dasani since yesterday at 4 o'clock. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
On Friday, you talked about how Kara Walters came to practice and asked you if, I forget the exact quote, but if you have actual depth or if you just have warm bodies.
Right.
And I think Avina, Paige, and Kristen, I want to say combined for 51 points. So what didn't you see from your reserves and the bench that you thought you
Avina,
could
Paige,
do?
and Kristen,
Yeah.
51 out of 90, 95. That's half. Huh? 67 out of 95?
I was not a math major.
I was going to say 67 out of 95. Yeah, well, I think that's probably going to happen most of the year. You know, AZ looked like she was a little bit too passive and too tentative. You know, I don't know why she would ever even think about having to make a pass. And she did that a couple times when I thought, why? Just shoot it. So AZ will score more points. If the big guys stay out of foul trouble, they'll score more points. So, yeah, I mean, you'd like to spread it around more, but the reality of the situation is sometimes the way the other team plays forces you to play a certain way. You know? The only other alternative is we have to become a zone team. Just stand there, and I think that's a good kind of defense for this group sometimes. Just stand there, put your hands up, and you'll miss. I think I can coach that. Hey, just miss, and then rebound and run down the other end. It's not bad. No getting through screens, no hard hedging, no switching. Miss. You know how many kids will want to come play here? Everybody in America want to come. Coach, what kind of defense you play? Miss,
Kind of going off that answer, it seems like you were saying part of the defensive issues had to do with the matchups, but
Mhm.
how much would you say was that versus also like what do you actually want to see from the team to fix, I guess, going in the next game on that end of the floor?
yeah, when a team is just determined to get to the basket, you know, they just are going to get the ball, put their head down, and go. You have to have guards that can keep people in front of them, and we're not great at that today. We weren't great at that today. And then your big guys have to just be able to contain and let them shoot that without fouling. You know, and every time we did that, they took some crazy wild shot, right? We rebound and come down the other end. So if we can make them do that 8 out of every 10 times and not smack them, so bad matchup for our big guys. No post-up play. I don't think they try to throw it into the post one time for any kind of post play. Everything was from the perimeter. And that's a difficult assignment for our big guys, but no, it's coaching them better, and I don't want to be in foul trouble, so I'm not going to foul.